What's up, my YouTube family? It's your boy Berto checking in with another video, guys. So today, man, we're going to be talking about Organism 46b. It's an enormous 33-foot long, 14 tentacle squid-like creature that lived in Lake Vostok in Russia, a subglacial lake under 2 miles of thick ice beneath the Vostok station in the Arctic. The animal could release a toxin into the water to immobilize its prey from a distance of up to 150 feet. Displayed an astonishing degree of shape-shifting, its limbs were animated and aggressive even for amputation, and it showed a considerable degree of both hostility and intelligence. The Vostok station, established by the Soviets in 1957, was discovered and had been sighted in a stop of vast body of fluid water beneath the ice of 1974. Subsequently named Lake Vostok after the station, after 30 years of ice core drilling, the research team finally breached through the lake on February 5th, 2012. This is the only encounter, must have occurred sometime between then and the 30th of November of 2016 when the story first broke. Although the exact dates have so far proven impossible to track down, Dr. Anton Palaka claims to have been part of the first scientific expedition to explore the lake. We encountered Organism 46b on our first day. It disabled our radio, which we later learned to our alarm was intentional. It is also able to paralyze prey from a distance up to 150 feet by releasing its venom into the water. Tragically, my colleague and lifelong friend was killed today. Later, while the group was driving in the lake, the group were attacked. The creature releasing its venom into the water, which took hold of one of them, then killing and eating him. As Palaka stated, he tread water wearing a blissful smile as the organism approached him. We watched helplessly as it used its arms to tear off its head, then popped its remains in its mouth. So it basically ripped his head off and ate the dude. It was as if it had hypnotized him telepathically. Still later, 46b stalked the group, displaying its shape-shifting ability. It shapeshifted itself into the form of a human diver. We thought it was one of my colleagues swimming towards us in scuba gear. By the time the closest scientists had realized what it was, it had grabbed him and torn him to the limbs. Escaping the creature, a member of the team managed to lop off one of 46b tentacles, although later the limb attacked the group again. Later that night, it slid across the ice bank and strangled her, stated Palaka. After finally trapping the creature in a tank, the surviving members of the team brought it to the surface, where they claimed Russian officials seized the beast and told the international press that nothing had been found. Aftermath: Dr. Palaka fled the country after alleged discovering the Russian President Vladimir Putin had plans to weaponize Organism 46b. The Russian government has denied all the knowledge of these claims. Now, this is very big because in the very near future, the Arctic will become very, very important. And if the Russians have control of this giant beast, they can weaponize it. They can get it to where they can control it, and they can wreak havoc in the Arctic when it comes down to who's going to control the Arctic. The Russians already have a head start on who's going to control the Arctic. They have the most resources, the most, everything to take over the Arctic they have. And having a 33-foot long beast, 46b, that's a real threat to humanity, because this is going to change everything. It's going to tell us who's going to be in charge, who's going to run what. This is going to make the difference, guys. If this creature really does exist and the Russians have it, it's going to be a long, hard-fought battle for the Arctic. If this thing gets released, it can cause all types of problems. And not only do they have one, I'm pretty sure they're cloning it to make more of them. And that's where the problem's going to come in at. So we'll see, guys. But this is the story of Organism 46b, a giant 14 tentacle, 33-foot long beast that lurks the Arctic waters, that was captured by the Russians and will be used as a weapon. And the scientists that discovered this and found this out fled the country. Fear of his life for exposing it, and fear of what could happen if the Russians actually got control of this thing. So what do you guys think of Organism 46b? Is this something that you think will play a huge part in the Arctic? Because we know the Arctic has so many untapped resources, and in the near future, now that things are warming up, the world will be easier for them to drill in the Arctic, do more things in the Arctic, because the ice cycles will start melting, the glaciers, all that stuff is going to start melting. So it's going to make it easier to get resources out of the Arctic, which is going to become a huge important area for the rest of the world. Right now, it's a race in the Arctic, and Russia and China is actually, well, not too much China, but China's trying to get closer to Russia. So when the time comes, they're already within grasp of controlling the Arctic, or at least having a friendship with the country that does control the Arctic, because the United States hasn't been focused on it. This is going to be very big. And with Organism 46b floating around, I wouldn't want to be in the Arctic waters, because that's not the only thing down there. And we know what the Arctic holds. The truth to everything lies in the Arctic. That's why it's important to have control of the Arctic.